Welcome back to another Overwatch Coach VOD review. Today we're going to be VOD reviewing, they don't say what hero they're playing, but they did post their name, and they're starting on Moira. I haven't looked at this VOD prior to recording, so I'm assuming it's going to be Moira, but maybe they start swapping around as the game goes on. But for now, we're going to say a Bronze 5 Moira. So, digging into the intro that they write, hi, I was wondering if anyone could help me pointing out my mistakes and provide tips to improve my gameplay. Out of all the roles, I enjoy playing support the most, but I can't seem to get out of Bronze 5. I've been playing since Overwatch 1, but I never got out of Bronze. At this point, I'm at a loss as to what I'm doing wrong, and I hope someone can enlighten me. Thanks in advance. And then they give the replay code, their name, and the rank. So I did skip it just a tiny bit just to make sure they were on PC, because I am at this point trying to only VOD review PC games. And this is, so let's dig into this game and see what we've got. So this is our Moira player. I like Moira with Orisa. The only thing I would be concerned about is when you run a tank that kind of fits the mold of an Orisa, you know, the beefy tanks that don't really have like a shield to protect themselves. I'm always a little leery of not having a Kiriko in case they run Ana. Now, obviously, you don't know this yet, but they are not running Ana. Discord Orb could be an issue for the Orisa. That's the only other thing that I'm seeing that maybe concerns me. There's not a lot you can do about that. Yeah, you could Kiriko cleanse it, but Discord Orb likely just ends up going right back on anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So again, not much you can really do about that. So the other thing that I'm seeing here is Mercy doesn't really fit into this team comp. There's really nothing to pocket here. This isn't you, so again, nothing to really say for you, but I'm not really feeling the Mercy pick here. In terms of other heroes, I wouldn't mind seeing a Zen of their own wouldn't be bad. My guess is if they're playing Mercy, a lot of times when you see a Mercy player, their hero pool consists of like Mercy, Moira, and maybe Brig. That's usually about all you really see out of Mercy players, typically. If you're a Mercy player and you play other supports other than that little pool of heroes, then more kudos to you, because I don't see a lot beyond that. I wouldn't mind seeing a Kiriko here. I wouldn't mind seeing BAP here, and I wouldn't mind seeing Zen. I think those would be the three supports I'd like to see out of this spot. But other than that, I'm interested to see how this goes. So let's dig into the game and see what we get.
3, 2, 1.
Let's fast forward just a bit until we get to the fight.
Your end is within my reach.
So the first thing I'm noticing is your team just completely splits up and you're not too sure what to do about that. So if you're going to be the main heal, which Moira, BAP, Ana is the main heal, pseudo main heals would be like Mercy and Kiriko, and then every other support would be an off heal. Lifeweaver's kind of... I'm still not totally sure where to put him yet, but I kind of have him as... He's somewhere between pseudo main heal and off heal, just because I find it difficult to keep a tank going when you're pocketing a tank as Lifeweaver. But to go to the core group of supports, if you're playing Moira, you're a main heal. So if I were you, just stick with your tank.
What is it now? The objective is misery made manifest. Let go. Eyes open now.
So that teleport back felt premature, and if you positioned yourself a little bit better, you wouldn't have had to have done that anyway. So
Misery
get
made,
to
misery made manifest.
so the one thing I would say here is throw the orb down this way, because that's more along the lines of where they're going to be. You got to kind of have the foresight to see where the fight's going as opposed to where it is immediately as you throw it. If you throw the orb in the same trajectory you threw it, at least throw it a little lower so as it starts to bounce back into where the fight actually is, it might still have a shot at doing something. So right here, if you hug like right into here, if they start to look at you and shoot you, which is honestly something they should do because you're pretty close to frontlining here, then you could just kind of walk over here and you'll have cover, and then you can save your teleport for when you're really in trouble.
Let go.
Because you took 6 damage and then you teleport out. So now if the enemy team starts to dive or they just keep pressing in, now you don't have anything in terms of getting out. And on top of that, it just felt a little on the skittish side. Got a good kill. Feel a little. Yep.
Big stanger lat.
So bad trajectory. Gotta be careful on that. Clean that up. Your Mei is going in too deep and feeding. You'd like to maybe see the Mercy kind of keeping them going, but this is too deep in general. They shouldn't be this far up, in my opinion.
You cannot escape me. You're off the move.
Again, too deep. There's no reason to even be here. There's a very bad habit that I find people in Overwatch 2 seem to have. Now, I know you said you played Overwatch 1 as well, but I didn't really see this much in Overwatch 1, but I see it a lot in Overwatch 2, and that's like when a team is winning team fights, they just keep progressively moving up the map, and I don't know why they do that, to the point where they just start spawn camping, and then they get picked in the enemy spawn, and then they die, and then all of a sudden now the enemy team starts to push in because you guys pushed in too deep and fed. I don't know, I see this at a lot of different ranks. It definitely happens upward to Diamond. I don't know if I've seen it that much in Masters games. I have seen it in Masters games, but I don't know if I've seen it enough to really harp on it much in those ranks. But in Diamond, I've definitely seen it, and I would just assume all the way down. I mean, we just saw it in a Bronze game, so I would assume all the way down from Diamond and below this happens. I don't understand this trend. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know why it's being done. Clean that up. Don't just continue to hold in that vicinity if you continue to hold this point. Don't just keep moving up closer and closer to their spawn as the map progresses, because then this happens. Anyway, so if we won't wind here just a little bit. Let's start right here. Okay, so you get back, and now, okay, so you look at Ramacher like Reaper. When he starts to just suicide dive into the enemy team, you know he's probably got an ultimate, especially if you haven't seen one in a while. So right here, seeing this tells me, okay, he's about to ult, which we obviously know he's about to do because we are, we kind of already seen it. But when you see this kind of behavior, you gotta back away and allow the space that he's kind of forcing on you to be taken, because there's not much you can do about it, especially as a support. So you back out, and then you pop your ultimate. Let's see how this goes. So you gotta heal. You can't DPS this. You have to support your team here. The Mei was the one that needed it the most, and you didn't do that. You didn't give it to him. Okay, so the Mercy had your Orisa covered. So now this, I don't know what you're hoping to do here, but this is not good. What you're doing here should not be done. Hang by your tank. You've got the point. Just keep them off of it. If your tank stays alive, they're likely not going to be able to push on this. And then on top of that, so, okay, number one, you should not be here, but the fact that you are here, you've got 3 options because you teleported in. So use your teleport as a means to escape, not a means to dive into their backline. Unless maybe, let's just say only Zen is alive and he's like, you know, here. Then okay, dive in and finish him off, that kind of a thing. Like, that would be fine. But don't do this. But if you are in this situation, this is not the one to go after, because I guess I stopped this a little too soon because they're about to get the healing orb. So now they've got the healing orb. So you can't out damage this. And then on top of that, they've got both supports. What you need to do is, beyond not being here, what you need to do is, when I play Moira, I like to kind of try to feel out what support doesn't peel for the other support. So say, for example, you go for the Zen and the Baptiste starts healing the Zen, but say you go after the Baptiste and the Zen is oblivious to it and just, you know, is like really sight-lined on only looking forward, or doesn't move the healing orb around a lot. Well, if you can start draining out the Baptiste, then you've got a support picked, and then you can move on to the Zen. But you're not going to do anything going after this Sojourn when they're being healed. And then on top of that, you bounced your healing orb directly into the ground. It's only going to just shoot directly back up into the sky, and you're going to lose it after minimal gain from it. What you should do when you do these healing orbs is like bounce it, let's say, off of like this wall here because it's flat, or this little area here because it's flat. And then what's going to happen is, I don't know this map well enough to say for sure, but if it bounces off of here, then it's going to bounce. Oh, look at that. It'll bounce off of a flat wall, and it's just going to bounce right here. And you're going to be standing right in the middle of that trajectory, and you'll get full use off of it. But learning these maps so that you can do stuff like that, like bouncing healing orbs off of little flat spots, and then bouncing it so that it just bounces in a trajectory that's either going to stay with you or stay around a vicinity that your team is trying to hold, that's the way to use those. You see, look at this. That healing orb, it's gone. And you could have still been using that. But again, that's all to mask a poor positioning thing. You shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Ready for battle.
But anyway, you guys got the point, so that's good. And nothing has changed team comp-wise. They're still not running Ana, so, I mean, there's been some change on their side, but for the most part, everything on your guys' side is the same. The D.Va will be an interesting swap. I'm not a huge fan of D.Va, but I can totally see D.Va being a problem for this particular team comp. Junkrat into D.Va, not great. Orisa into D.Va can be also not great. Pocketing the Mei might be a interesting play here just because of that. Now, because they're running D.Va, the one thing as a Moira player you're going to have to be mindful of is how you use your orbs, because D.Va can eat the orbs. So you're going to either have to shoot them in creative ways to still get use out of it, or you're going to have to kind of time it so that defense matrix doesn't eat it. You're not going to run into this type of an interaction a lot because D.Va is kind of a... It's not a good pick in the current meta, with Junker Queen being insanely overpowered. Ramatra is still a really strong pick. Orisa can still be pretty good. D.Va is very situational right now. But when you do run into this kind of a situation, let's see how you're currently using your orbs. So you don't know they're running D.Va yet. So the first orb you get for free in terms of me being picky about it, but now you know. So now let's see how you do it. Heal your tank. You're not healing your tank. Your tank is extremely low and you're not healing them. You should have been on full left click from the get-go there. This Mercy should be pocketing their DPS and you should have been healing your Orisa. But because you weren't, the Mercy is now healing the Orisa and now your DPS aren't being supported like at all. And that's because of your decision making. That Mei... See, like, that Mercy should have really been on that Mei, because that Mei's doing what the Mei should do. She's trying to isolate off the tank and then spray the tank, because that tank can't do anything about that. So you guys have to be better at supporting that Mei, and that all fell on your initial decision making. You're right-clicking D.Va with full support around that D.Va. You're not going to really do much. Now, if you needed... like heal juice, that would have changed things a bit. You don't. You're at full. You should be on full spray mode for this Orisa. Or yeah, Orisa.
Claim the objective. Assist me.
When you throw that healing orb out, that's when you would turn to start right clicking, get some use out of that healing orb, because that likely would have been enough to keep the Orisa going. And then as you regain some of your juice, then begin spraying as you lose the orb. And now the Junkrat's dead, so now it's a, was it a 4-on-3? If you are going to right-click, try to right-click on the supports here, because you do have a little bit of time where you can right-click, but again, right-clicking on a D.Va when both supports are by him, that's not going to do anything. You gotta take out the supports before this tank's going to go down. Okay, good pick. Get back to your tank and heal them. I would maybe suggest upping your mouse sensitivity just a little bit, at least particularly for Moira. Your mouse sensitivity feels a little low. Like when you were trying to get your aim locked in on, who was that, Soldier? What was that?
Your end is...
Yeah, Soldier. So watch this for a second. See how long it took you to like move over and then get shifted into your aim on him? That felt like that was like a solid like half second that like took you time to lock in. If your mouse sensitivity was just maybe a little bit higher up, you could have eliminated that.
Your end is within my reach. Reckless
Anyway, good kill.
Life and limb. Such grievous wounds. A cure for all the tales.
So, if you could have healed your Orisa with that healing orb, then don't left click. I would try to get a little bit more foresight thinking with your orbs in the future to try to get more value out of them. Because now you're out of juice and the fight hasn't even started yet. That's unfortunate the Mei didn't ice wall that. I don't, maybe they didn't have it, but again with the healing orb bouncing off the ground, stop doing that. You've got a flat surface right here you could bounce this off of, or you could bounce it over here.
No opposition is insurmountable.
So that orb I don't like because the D.Va's likely going to eat that one. And it just does nothing. Or maybe it just bounces around and does nothing. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of that one. Your Mei fed. Not a great Orisa ult either. So, I mean, we've pointed out some mistakes you've been making in this round, but your team is playing your team is playing like a bronze team now. They played round one a lot better than I was expecting to see, but this round, now their bronze tendencies are starting to come out. Because I don't get why Junkrat is still playing Junkrat into Diva, for example. Why the Mei was where they were, and then now they're dead, and then now like you guys are trying to make up for that. Just as some other examples of what we're getting from your team here. You got to get out of this habit of throwing orbs into the ground. That should be an easy habit to get out of, but get out of that habit. There's no reason for that, unless you're doing it like in a tight quarter room. Like, say for example, this like tunnel was bigger, and there was a reason for you all to be in it. Then bouncing it into the ground, and then where it like bounces like that. That would be fine, but like when you bounce it off the ground and then it just shoots up into oblivion and you never see it again, that's where you gotta not do that. Kill the lamp. Yep. Okay, yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Get on the point. Yeah, get that point. Get the point, get the point. Okay, a slow reaction to getting to the point. You didn't need to be there DPSing that. Just get on the point and make sure this gets captured, because you're losing. And the quicker they retake it, the less time you're going to have to contest it again because of how far they've already gotten on it. So if you got on that right away, maybe you stop that at like 79 or something like that. That's unfortunate. Little bit more strafing left and right. I would have liked to have seen, just so that you're a little harder to hit.
Big stanger lap.
So yeah, you're left and right. You did it there, but do it quicker. Like, assuming I'm hoping you can hear this through my mic, but like that's how quick I'm doing this. Like when I do my left right, if I'm trying to Moira suck on somebody like that. That's how quick I'm going back and forth, because then your character model is going like this, and if you're a hit scan and you're trying to track that, it gets really difficult. Especially in a bronze lobby, they'd have trouble hitting that. So try to go quicker with that. Assuming you could hear that. I don't know if my mic... I think my mic picks that up, but if it doesn't, sorry. And it'll be a bad example, but... Okay. So that was a good kill on the BAP. Now go to the Zen and to either take him out or force trance. Going now to Diva, who's being healed, this is not gonna... You're not doing anything here. So, okay. When you teleport it away, that's fine. But at this point, you gotta play the space game and try to stay away from this Diva. So... save your orb for either if Diva kind of loses track of you for some reason, even though she shouldn't, but if she does, save your orb for that, or save it for a healing orb and then throw it opposite end of where Diva is, so that it lasts as long as humanly possible, so that their defense matrix doesn't eat it. You threw it just directly into them. All they got to do is hold right click down for a second, and then your orb is gone. So you could have definitely elongated that, but I don't think this is a situation you survive. But the more you could have potentially elongated that, the more chance your team has to maybe get back and, you know, help contest the point. But at this point, my guess is your team's just going to trickle in like bronze players, and they're going to win the round. I mean, we already know they win the round because of all this time left, but... yeah, there's nothing for you here. Let's get into the next round. So, alright, we're going Sigma and Cassidy now. Alright. Don't like the Sigma pick too much. I'm not a big fan of Sigma into Diva. If you do play Sigma into Diva, what you basically gotta do is throw the rock at her, which she's an easy target for, and then you get a couple shots off on her, but then once she's back up, she's gonna start eating a bunch of your damage again. I don't know, it's kind of a 50-50 interaction, but I still like the Mei. Cassidy into this will be interesting. Mercy it at least gives Mercy somebody to pocket now, so I'll see how this goes. So once you know Diva's there, you got to be careful on these orbs, because that Diva, my guess is she just ate that orb and you got nothing out of it. So what I would suggest doing is like throwing a healing orb into this thing, and then just kind of letting the healing orb just kind of gravitate toward where your team is fighting and taking position at, and then it'll just heal them. Diva likely won't be able to eat that, and then you get max use out of an orb. Yeah, something to that extent, but I would have done it a little deeper into the point. Your Mei needs help. So, yeah, more attention to your Mei here would have been advantageous, because the Mei counters their tank.
Sip for the parched.
Another bad orb there.
Sojourn en route.
Big stanger left.
So you had the right idea, but poor execution. So I would recommend maybe going into a practice range, or even just in quick play or something. Practice that jump, because I'm like 99.9% sure that's a jump you could have made if you just would have done it better as Moira. So you should probably take, if Moira's a hero you play a lot, get better at that jump. That's 100% a mechanic you need to have mastered if you're playing competitive at any rank. That definitely is a jump that you need to be able to make. You could even go into a custom game, turn all the cooldowns off, and just load up different maps and see what you can actually do for jumps. Oh, okay, good. I was about to say, you should have your teleport for that so that you can get out of that, and you did it right at the last second, so that's good. Yeah, so that right there, that is the only time I would advocate moving forward with Moira's teleport. That was like the perfect example, because I gave that example in the first round. So that I'm all right with, but like, again, that other example I gave earlier where you dove into 3 of them, that's what you don't want to do. But what you did there, I'm fine with. Like, that's when you know, you can dive a little bit, get into their, I guess what's their trailing backline or whatever you want to call it, a retreating support. So again, you got to be careful with these orbs when you're playing into a Diva. You got to get real creative, real tricky with it. If you really wanted to throw a damage orb into them, probably throw it over there. You could try to bounce it off of the ceiling and then see if you can get it to bounce down that way. And then that either makes the Diva look up to try to eat it, or she ignores it, or she waits until it starts getting back there, spins around and tries to eat it. But you got to get way more creative with these orbs going into Diva, or you got to just use them differently.
My power emanates. You've driven them to extinction. Pain is inevitable.
The barrier appears.
Never die.
I would just go through back to the point and then come up. Yep, exactly what you did there.
Surrender to my will.
Now you had some indecision doing that. Considering you played Overwatch 1, I get this wasn't an Overwatch 1 map, but considering you played Overwatch 1, I would like to think your instincts to doing what you just did more quickly would be a little bit more honed than that. So try to be more decisive on how you get back to your team in situations like that, because that what you did was correct, but your brain didn't reach that conclusion as quickly as I'd have liked to have seen. But however, the Baptiste just windowed, so you need to pull back. Yeah, pull back. Use your ult to pull back. Don't poke that. Don't peek it. Don't peek it.
I offer something more.
Okay, so again, right here, let's rewatch this. So when you're in this situation, okay, so right here you're fine. Right here you're fine. Actually, wait. Hold on, I didn't go that far enough. So again, don't peek that. Okay, right here, this is what I want to start looking at. So in this situation, what I would suggest doing is bounce the healing orb right here. And if you've got a healing orb out and it's doing work on the tank, then you can right click, but don't do it on the tank.
I offer something more.
Do it on the Zen or the soldier. The reason I say don't do it on the tank is one, Baby Diva still has the tank passives applied to her, so she's not taking as much damage. 2, the soldier's low. And 3, the healing orb is on the tank. And then 4, you've got the Zen right there, so you could just start right-clicking on the Zen too. But I would go soldier first, and then onto the Zen, and then onto Baby Diva. Because you're not going to out-damage that healing orb. And then a little bit quicker reaction time maybe to starting to, you know, heal your tank a little bit. Yeah. As soon as that soldier didn't die, and then you guys don't go after the Zen, it wasn't a winnable fight. Like, the soldier and then to the Zen, that was the move there. So the target priority, not great.
Evolution is a painful path.
So they got the points, so now this is a regroup situation. Your team's got to just kind of sit back and regroup. So that Mei dying, that's awful. And your tank shouldn't really be engaging right now. I will say this, there are a lot of Moira players right now, and when Diva becomes meta, whenever that will be, Moira players are going, especially newer ones, are going to just be in shambles. Their orbs will be so useless.
You cannot escape me.
Yeah, you need to get away from Diva. Like, you can actually win this interaction if you play the distance game, like in terms of max distance to a Moira right click, keeping your distance away from Diva, then she won't do a lot of damage to you. And then when she dives in, you just teleport opposite direction, and then you play the distance game again. And then you do your strafing technique so that you're hard to hit, and it'll actually make the Diva kind of have to aim and, you know, move around and whatnot. But when you're this close, you're not going to win this interaction. You shouldn't be this close to a Diva, unless you just like lose track of her and then she dives you, kind of a thing. But that's not good, because now your tank went in alone and died, and now you're frontlining into everybody and you've got nothing to do here, and then you just die. So you got to get more in sync with your tanks and playing along with your tanks better.
Progress is seldom won with ease.
So just looking at this again, like, you're down here
A cure for
and your
all
tank is up
days.
there, and then on top of that, like, you throw the healing orb into defense matrix, basically. Like, you should see that the Diva's there,
You.
and she's just gonna eat that, and she did. So that orb didn't do anything. Because that orb we had just seen, that was the enemy orb. So anyway, that looks like that's all she wrote.
Progress is seldom won with ease.
So yeah, target priority. That's number 1. 2, I'll just say orb T. T stands for trajectory. 3 would be, I'm going to say division of labor. When you're playing Moira, really focus on keeping your tank aggressive so that the other support can focus on healing the DPS side of things. If you end up playing with another main support and they seem really focused on healing the tank, then take that as an opportunity to then start paying more attention to what your DPS are doing and keeping them supported. But typically speaking, Moira should be prioritizing their support on the tank, and you definitely could have done a better job of that. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.